Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video. As you've probably noticed by the title, this is a video review for the GTX570. And yet again, this is a graphics card that Nvidia have pretty much sprung on us, really. Basically, it's the little brother to the 580. It's based on the GF110 core again. But the big seller with this card is the retail price is £289. Now, not being funny, the 580 is, priced for some pretty hardcore gamers, really. If you want that, you've got a big kind of £400 price tag to stump up. Now, the 570, being under that kind of, what I would call the magical £300 mark, anything between £200 and £300, it's still expensive, but it's definitely more attainable by more people. Now, I want to show you some benchmarks and stuff, because another thing that's happened today is the 3dMark 11 has been released. Quite uncannily at the same time as the 570, but hey. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some up close and dirties of the card itself. Bring you back, we'll talk about some benchmarks, and then we'll crack in and I'll show you some gameplay footage. Right then guys, just a quick look at the reference 570. It looks very similar to the 580. You can see the reflection there in the top. Two 6-pin power, multiple SLI ports for triple and quad SLI, 2 DVIs and a mini HDMI. Not a massive amount to look at, to be quite honest with you, when you think about it. There's a look at the back of the PCB. Now I'm going to crack this baby open so we can have a look what's inside. Here we go then guys. GTX 570 with all her clothes off. The PCB itself is very similar to the GTX 580. I'll just pause there so you can have a gawp around and take in whatever you want. Give you a nice close up down here of the power regs. That's the actual sort of like cooling plate for the RAM and the FETs. But this is the I suppose what you call the actual heatsink inside, and it is slightly different to the 580 one, because look how far the vapour chamber on this one protrudes. Notice the vapour chamber, as I was cunningly concealing there, the spout that they filled it. They have crimped it. The camera doesn't want to focus that close, but yeah, you can see the vapour chamber there. On the if I just put it down a sec, on the Zotac and the Asus one, that 580 that I did, it had been filled up in one corner, and you can see this one's been filled on the edge, and that sits in the heatsink like that, or on the plate like that. And then you've just got the normal shroud again that just sits over the top. Just doing this very roughly, and then that goes onto the card. All very simple, but as you will see in the videos, quite worryingly effective, because this card just doesn't spin up when it's hot. It's unbelievable. But anyway, let's crack on with more of the video. Right then guys, before we go on to some video footage of 3dMark 11, and some gameplay footage. I just want to talk to you about some benchmarks and my thoughts on the card before the rest, because I'll end the video at the end. P-score in 3dMark Vantage with a stock 570 was 26,010. Overclocked, it was 27,849. P-score in 3dMark 11, you're going to see it in a moment anyway, was 5,384. And the P-score when overclocked was 5,680. Now, what we do need to keep reminding ourselves is that this card is £289, or that's the RRP for like the basic reference versions. And not being funny, this card packs an almighty mother of a punch for a card that's under 300 quid. If you want to see all the comparisons and you know what scores this and what scores that, go and have a look at the main review on Overclock 3D for like the full graphs. I don't want to sit here and bore you to death with like this scores this and this scores that. But take my word for it, this card is epic for 290 quid. It's a proper corker. Honest to God, the 570 and the 580. If Nvidia had brought these out last year, we would be in a whole different kettle of fish now with the AMD cards. Pretty much, Nvidia are back on the game really. They've set the bar massively high for the 6900 AMD cards that are due to be released within the next week or so. And to be quite honest with you, this makes the whole graphics card scene a hell of a lot more interesting and a lot better for the consumer as well, because it makes all the graphics card manufacturers then will start their own little price war, and one will try and do this a little bit cheaper, one will knock the price down on that. It's going to be brilliant. I know they're all coming out in time for like Christmas and stuff like that, but really you're going to have to read up quite a bit on the games that you're playing and what you're wanting from your games. But to be quite honest with you, whereas before it was pretty much cut and dry with a lot of the cards, especially at specific price points, I could instantly tell you want to buy that. But I've got a funny feeling it's all going to be so bloody close, and that's the way it should be. Graphics card manufacturers should be having a proper ball and not a proper sort of like bare knuckle fight to the death. That's the way it should be. It makes an enthusiast's life interesting. It certainly makes a reviewer's life more interesting as well. And do you know what I mean? You've got all these cards that are so similar, and it's just, you don't want one that just screams off ahead. But the long and short of it is, would we award it? Bloody right we would. I mean, we have given the 580 a gold award anyway, because the power that those things chuck out is unbelievable. Now, yes, the 570 performs, doesn't perform as well as a 580, but it's £100 cheaper, and yet, there's not a massive amount in it. As you'll see with the gameplay footage, it's a very, very capable card. And to be quite honest with you, if you're sat there scratching your head going, oh, I can't really, justify spending all that money on a 580, Nvidia may have just landed you what you wanted for Christmas. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, the overclocking, where it's a reference card, we couldn't even overvolt it, so we wanged it right the way up to 800 on the core at stock volts, basically. The fan still doesn't spin up. As you've seen in the video where I took it apart, that vapour chamber is quite a bit bigger on this one. And to be quite honest with you, I left the fans on auto because, not being funny, they don't spin up past like 50–55% anyway, and they still stay below 80 degrees. Honest to God, Nvidia, you finally sorted your shit out. And it's not being funny, people gave me a lot of grief for the fact that I beasted a lot of your cards so much before, but to be quite honest with you, when you bring cards like this out, it justifies everything that I said before, and it's great to see that you finally started bringing cards out that are worth spending money on, that are not going to heat your house, not going to make you poor when your electric bill comes in, and also that you're not going to either have to have your gaming headphones turned up all the time or industrial ear defenders on. I mean, this thing's actually running 3dMark Vantage behind me at the moment, and have you heard those fans spin up? Nope, because they haven't. They've stayed at this pretty much at the same speed throughout the whole of the test. I mean, we're even on like the shader test at the moment, where generally the 480 would be absolutely howling, and can't hear nothing. So, without further ado, yes, Gold Award. Would I tell you to buy it? Bloody right I would. You're all going to ask, how does it perform against the 5900 series? We can't say yet, but don't worry, we are going to be doing all these full comparisons and stuff, you know, later on. But putting that aside, it's a bloody brilliant card, and if you're looking at spending between 200 and 250 and 300 pounds at the moment, and you're like, I want an Nvidia card, I want PhysX, you know what I mean, I want 3D, whatever your reasoning is, if you've got between 200 and 250 and 300 quid, don't bother with the 470, don't bother with even the 480 now. Completely skip that aside. Get the 570. It's an absolute cracker. And to be quite honest with you, it's nice to be able to be nice about a Green Team product for a change. Without further ado, I am going to rock you straight in with some 3dMark 11. And what I'll do is I'll play you the demo and the benchmarks, and then we'll go into some Crysis and some Metro gameplay footage for you as well, to give you a nice beefy video to see what this car's got to offer. But without further ado, I'm going to rack off and let you see some more stuff. But this is Tiny Tom Logan with the Gold Award winning reference GTX570 out. and sweaty there, Stevie. Right then, guys, we're playing Crysis in gamer settings. Don't worry, we will get to the hardcore settings in a bit. You can see the frames per second on the top left hand side of the screen. You can see there's a very good frame rate there. Need to remember that this is the 570. Just going to blow the helicopter up, and then we will go on to the hardcore settings. No! I've blown that helicopter up so many times. Anyway, let's go on to the enthusiast settings. Right then guys, this is with Crysis absolutely maxed out. 16 times AA, enthusiast level detail. And that's me dead. Let's move on to Metro.